I tell you what though, heading into our first match, we've got Online Warriors versus Aw0babobs. We actually managed to catch up with the guys earlier on to see how they're feeling about the weekend as a whole and how they're feeling about this first match. Let's take a look.
Scary force. It was just a matter of time until they knocked that 8th seed out of the park that they had to play with. Online Warriors are able to get it consistently. Oh my goodness! What can you do against this man? Whoa!
So my name is Hamza. My in-game tag is Flux, and I play for Online Warriors.
Does Penguin 20p just mean like his budget Penguin? Is that kind of triple kill for Hollers, by the way?
So I'm Jacob Holloway, or most people know me as Jake, but my gamer tag is Hollers, and our team name is Aw0babobs.
Team's so vulnerable if it's not planned correctly.
Can't believe you're calling out Shazzy again on the program. It's unbelievable.
Triple kill for Hollers!
Get the over! Get the over! He gets the over!
It feels really good to be in Valencia. It feels good to be in an event which is not just in London, you know, or in the UK, go to a different part of Europe. So yeah, I'm pumped, I'm ready for it.
I think we're the first game on stream, and we play against Online Warriors, which will be Moz, Snaky, Flux and Shady, who could probably win the event. If they're playing well, they could win the event. But they're also my really good friends.
It's about the middle, but Foxy picks up 2 big kills. That should be beat control going over, but the reset does come through, and oh my god, Flux was able to keep his teammate alive.
I think to win, we just need to play naturally how we do ourselves, and we should be fine.
The pressure's all on them, so we're just going to turn up and try and win our fights and just try and work together and cause an upset.
Yeah, our first match would be 3-0 to us, definitely.
Now, 2 teams that are ready for that main stage certainly are, and in terms of the interviews, you know, they know what they're coming up against here. You know, it's no shock to them. Let's start with Online Warriors, though, who are hoping to shock a few people by the end of the weekend. Online Warriors, obviously, last time we saw them in the Pro Series number 7, they actually got to the Grand Finals going up against Ascend, and actually that might have been the closest matchup we have seen online in Europe against Ascend. Very, very impressive from Online Warriors, and of course, bringing on the addition of Shady was obviously a really good idea. Clutch, what do you expect from these guys today?
Honestly, I think Holler said it best. These guys can win this tournament. Absolutely they can. Everything they've showed you online says that they can compete. Their back-to-back finals appearances was phenomenal, right? It was incredible, and the addition of Shady, I think, is not only going to give them so much firepower, so much individual skill, but presence as well, fire. The willingness and like that chip on your shoulder that Shady is going to give this team to compete against teams like Ascend, against Na'Vi, like they have something to prove. Every single one of these guys has a story, has a past that makes them a little bit hungrier than the pack around them, and I love the fact that they have that going into this tournament. I have high hopes for this squad.
That is actually Aw0babobs on your screen, just to make sure everyone is aware we're not looking. There we go, there's the Online Warriors in front of us. And
I recognize
these
that
guys,
cut anywhere.
This is pressure situation, all right? It's pressure territory, especially for that man on your left, Shady, because he has just been dropped from the best team ever to grace European Halo in terms of what they were able to achieve and how many tournaments they were able to win. What can he now add to a roster that already looked phenomenal in those online tournaments? They came out of nowhere, they blasted through that competition, and now they've added arguably one of the best slayers that we've seen in Halo Infinite in the European scene. So I think that this team really has the potential to win the event, and I think you heard it from Hollers himself. They know that on the other side as well.
Lethal, when you bring on a new change, you know, roster shakes up, especially taking Shady from Ascend as well, you kind of miss a few players get overshadowed. Talk about Snaky for us. What does this guy do on the main stage? What are you expecting from him this weekend?
Snaky is probably the best player we've seen of him in terms of his style since a very long time. In H5, I kind of feel like it was hot and cold in a lot of areas, a little bit inconsistent across the board, but this time around, this is definitely the best we've ever seen, period. Well, that's my personal opinion, but I'm sure a lot of other people will agree, and I spoke to a couple of players in the past and they said, yeah, this is like incredible what Snaky's been up to. But not only that, with Shady as an addition, they've now got 2 entry slayers. So with both Moz and Shady creating those opportunities, creating those openings, and you've got Snaky doing so much damage. That's why Snaky is getting his kills, is getting his damage done, is showing that map presence, because when you've got 2 people that aggressive, doing that many opportunities or giving him that many opportunities, this is why they're also one of the favourites. And that's why for Snaky, he's transitioned really well into that main slayer and be able to contribute as much as he has done so far.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see this roster in full swing, especially at LAN, especially on the main stage, how they handle the pressure, how they've come together as a team and worked on things, obviously going away, having practice, and kind of having results that were there online in the Pro Series 7. So I'm excited to see how they transition and hopefully get even better. On the other side of things, we do have Aw0babobs, though, who are going to be under a lot of pressure from this Online Warriors team here. Previously triggers down in the qualifiers. They actually were one of our top 4 teams to come through qualifying to be here. My big question, though, is, Clutch, what can these guys bring to the series?
I think they have a ton of individual skill, and I've liked what we've seen from Sandel, Hollers, Clonely, all these guys really in the online qualifiers leading up to this. Just about every event that EU has had to compete, these guys have made semi-waves in the bracket, right? And I think if we didn't really pick out a group of death, this is kind of the bracket that if you're a Aw0babobs, you didn't want to end up in, because you have 2 top 5 teams in this bracket, right? Or in this pool. And that's a difficult situation for them to be in. They're going to try and create an upset here to where they put themselves in that winner's bracket at the end of the day. But that's going to be a very difficult task. I don't think it's going to be the one against Online Warriors that's the winnable series.
I think the good thing is for both Clonely and Sandel is they've been at LAN events. They've been to international events. They were both at Rally. They both competed, and even though they may not have had the best of times, they still know what it's like to play on a main stage. It's not like they are going to fall under the pressure here. You've also got to remember Clonely used to team with Snakey and Mose. He's going to know their ins and outs. He's going to know their tendencies, and I think that is going to really help you try and predict what's going to be happening here and there. The same with Mose. He was teaming with them as well, so I think that now they're going to be looking at this and saying, all right, Clonely, what can you give us? What extra little bit of info, what tidbits can you give on these 2 players that maybe we can be able to break down and try and analyze?
And go through scrims and cuts and what you've been up to so far. Clonely is a massive margin in terms of slaying power compared to the rest of the pack. But one thing I will say, for Hollers, about 8 to 12 weeks ago, wasn't really too sure, quite debatable on how he was playing. But last 4 weeks, he's made some huge improvements across the board. Maybe because he's been playing Snapdragon so much in matchmaking for the last 6 weeks, maybe he's been learning a thing or 2 from there. Because that's what he has done. He's really been trying to do his best to prove himself. I think he had a very shaky start during the first 4 months of Halo Infinite's Lifeline. But now he's made some huge changes to actually be able to make some kind of impact. Also for Sandel, he's got some good slaying power, but it's his damage dealt. Sometimes he hides around corners too much or trying to live. He values his life well, but it's his positioning I kind of worry about sometimes.
Is also cool that we've got 2 Spanish players competing on this team as well, with Oni and Clonely, considering we're in Valencia, considering we're in Spain. First time the HCS has ever been in Spain to have 2 Spanish players featuring on this squad on our first game in main stage is definitely something that I've been looking forward to seeing and seeing what they can achieve.
It certainly is indeed, and as the cameras come back to the desk, I just want to point out real quick that one of our players just, obviously named after the, Sandel. Everybody.
Sandel,
not Sandal.
Lethal, not Sandal.
Sandel.
Oh, I forgot.
Okay.
All right.
I took my shoe off just for that. Really excited though to see both of these guys in action. I'm just excited for our first match, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm excited to see some action and kind of start the race here for gunning for that winners bracket, gunning to be on top in pool play. Pool play is really significant here because it gives you the best chance, the best odds heading into tomorrow, heading into that bracket. And I think first and second as well, in terms of what you're gunning for, if you're a top team, obviously you want that first seed, but how important is it to cause an upset so early on?
Yeah, I think Online Warriors is going to come into their pool as that 5th seed. They're going to have that opportunity to create the upset here today against J-Wings later on. I think it's so important that their first series is on main stage. After game 1, the jitters, they're removed. They'll feel themselves. They'll get into a groove, and they have the opportunity to kind of warm up as they go throughout the day. That way they're not starting off in a new environment on LAN, potentially with a little bit less experience than a team like J-Wings, and because of that, they could slip up, they could not perform as well. There's not going to be any excuses when we get to that series later on today.
There isn't indeed. Let's actually take a look at the series layout right now and just see what we have coming up here. Now, something I did notice that Strongholds is a pretty big one for Online Warriors. They've been absolutely lights out when it comes to Strongholds. Actually, in fact, last time we saw them on Strongholds was in the Grand Finals against Ascend. It was Stronghold Streets, but my goodness, they won map 1 very, very well. Fantastic rotations, and that actually came down to Shady really performing so well. He was ripping heads, he was picking up kills as he was rotating, but it really allowed for really well-executed rotations, and they weren't breakable. So what do you expect from this first map?
I'm expecting a very dominant performance from Online Warriors. And I think if you are Aw0babobs here, you have to make sure that you are out-sandboxing your opponent. Buzzword of the day, of course, is going to be Sandbox, but Online Warriors feature players who are very handy at finding whatever weapon they can. They scavenge the map, they will pick up all the extra tools they need to try and get a quick kill. That's why Mose was so good at Halo 5, and also it's great to have Mose back competing at a top level again, because it has been a while. Back in Halo 5, he was on the top European teams, kind of fell out of favor a little bit, but now this is his chance to show what he can do on a main stage once more.
Now, of course, map 2 is a Slayer. Slayers always come down to the wire. You know, everybody can shoot their gun. It's about organizing yourselves to be able to kind of rotate, clean up kills, work as a team. Communication needs to be really on point. If you have those things, which usually you should do if you are a top team and a pro team in Halo Infinite, then things will be pretty good, and you usually have a close Slayer. That being said, what do you expect out of the Slayer for this one here with the Aw0babobs? And what are these guys capable of? Is that potentially a swing map for you, Lethal?
I don't think it's at all. I don't think it even matters right now what the game types are, what they're going to be, what maps they're going to plan, because it is going to be a struggle bus for them. Even if it is a 3-0 or luckily a 3-1 if you somehow scrape a map by, at least keep the scores respectable. Don't make it like a complete slaughterhouse and get taken down just like that, because it is potentially possible with Online Warriors. They are one of the favourites coming to the competition, especially from what we've seen so far leading up on the scrim results coming up here. But it's like I said before, keep the scores respectable. At least make sure that you can give them at least a bit of a tough time here. And like I said before as well, if you do struggle that much and you have these stronghold games of like 250 to 50 or something like that, it's going to ruin your confidence entirely for the rest of the pool play.
Yeah, it certainly is going to be ruining confidence, that's for sure. And I'll tell you what, somebody who was ruining confidence the last time I saw them play in the qualifier, previously, of course, as Triggers down, it was the first match we saw in our qualifier online. And Hollis, on the Slayer, he was ridiculous, getting an overkill. He was just having fun using and utilizing the sandbox so well. Do you see him bringing some more of that into a much more difficult matchup for him?
Firstly, how ridiculous is it that we say previously Triggers down? The fact that they've even brought that to this broadcast is disgraceful.
I'm not entertaining.
But it's, you know, Hollers has been impressive. Lethal touched on this previously. The last few weeks, Hollers has looked a lot better. You go back 8 to 12 weeks ago and we were all saying, he's not really doing much for his team. A lot of individual plays that weren't really working out. I think he's starting to figure out now this is a team game. You need to be moving as a unit. You can't be flanking too much. You've got to be making sure you are all working together. And I want to see the Hollers that had success when the Halo 3 revival era came through throughout Europe. Hollers was, you know, at some of these top teams alongside the likes of Snakey, for example. So if he can perform well, if he can bring some of that experience to this roster, who knows, maybe they can take a map. I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility of a map being taken. I'm expecting a 3-0. But if they can play at their very best, I think they could get an upset with one map here.
I want to see how Mose does just in general. If anyone doesn't know, of course, he does reside in Malta, and he's been playing on a ping of 50 or 60 plus on EU Central and EU West. So that's going to be a huge factor. And the fact that Mose has been playing that well with that ping compared to the rest of us being in the 10s and 20s in terms of ping, that's one thing I'm very excited about, but he needs to readjust into an offline environment again. It has been his first LAN in 3 years, so I'm really excited to see what he's capable of.
Now, talking about adjusting as well, something that is on my mind after previously seeing Aw0babobs play last time, is that I'm a little bit concerned about their objective efficiency. And we say that a lot. It's kind of a throwaway sentence at this point because we just expect it to be happening in clutch. When it comes down to objective work, you know, slaying is everything, right? Obviously getting the openings, getting the numbers and having an advantage there, but it's not the be-all and end-all. You have to be able to do objective work. And something I noticed is that, you know, when I saw them play previously as Triggers down in the qualifier, they were really just wanting to slay out. I mean, in the oddball, they barely picked it up, and it just looked like a little bit of a Slayer here. So in terms of transitioning, in terms of adapting, getting better, coming to LAN, how important is it to be organized, to know exactly what you want to execute?
Yeah, figuring out your timings is going to be crucial to having success against some of the better teams here. Online Warriors, guess what? They're one of the best teams here. So for Aw0babobs, they're going to have to figure out ebbs and flows, how to get their first picks, how to efficiently play the objective while also staying alive. Because the second you give numbers to a team like Online Warriors, guess what? They're going to take advantage of that. They're going to gain full map control. And now you're looking at an attempt to break a setup, which is so difficult when you give up full map control. To Dan's point, the sandbox, power weapons, power-ups, it's going to be hard.
Don't be scared to back down from a fight. I think that when you get onto LAN and you start to feel that buzz a bit, you want a challenge because you're like, well, ping doesn't matter anymore. I'll just take this fight. Well, no, because then suddenly you put your team in a 4 versus 3 if you lose, and you're going up against 4 very good individual players here in the Online Warriors. So I would say if you're Aw0babobs, you have to be playing strategically. You have to be thinking about those engagements. If you even have the slightest consideration that you are going to lose that 1v1, back down, get some assistance, and then try and always have the numbers advantage.
Yeah, and I also think prioritizing power-ups, prioritizing things that are going to help you, they're going to aid you on the map as well, but also going in it like a unit, you know, not going in on your own and kind of going a little bit crazy when it comes to trying to grab quickly an overshield or a camo, having numbers to be able to back yourselves up.
I will say that the Aw0babobs did lose their coach just prior to this game. I think he's now Gambit is now playing in the open bracket. He was called up upon. He had the chance to go and play. Yeah, he did have a team, but there was a team who needed a fourth player, and Gambit has taken that spot. So they've lost their coach, which, you know, could have an impact and probably should have an impact.
Suddenly
because
everyone's got a stopwatch on their wrist.
Those
and he's an experienced coach as well on top of it, so it just makes matters even worse.
It is indeed. Just folks at home, just to give you a quick update, we are currently waiting for players to get situated on the main stage. We are up here for fun, but we're also not up here for fun, if that makes any sense. We do want to get into game as quickly as possible and as much as you do, but while we are up here, we're just chatting through some of the potential situations or scenarios that we will be seeing here. I think in terms of Online Warriors as well, obviously having an incredible run in the last Pro Series we saw, actually knocking Quadrant out of the tournament entirely, and Quadrant really backpedaled from there, and that was a big push from Online Warriors to do so, and to do so in that fashion, having Quadrant won that first map here. Do you expect a lot out of these guys? Is this going to be a real show and tell for you, Clutch, right now, Series 1, Map 1 of this competition?
Yeah, the second I get to watch these guys play on LAN, I'll learn whether or not I'm about to pick these guys as the dark horse to win this tournament, because I think they have the individual skill, I think they have the teamwork, they have every bit of like the extra chip on their shoulder like I was talking about earlier. That extra one, it goes a long way. These guys they remind me of one of those Believe the Hype-esque teams that has a lot of individual skill, a lot of players that are doubted across the teams, and somehow they're that makeshift potluck squad that didn't get picked up from anywhere else, but they put so much talent together on this roster of 4 that I have a good feeling about this team if they're able to warm up and feel comfortable.
Now, folks, we are ready to get to game, so real quick predictions here coming in from you, Clutch. Who are you feeling on this matchup?
This is Online Warriors all day, 3-0.
All right.
No, wrong one. Online Warriors for me, 3-0.
Sorry,
I'm not going to say much.
in-game skin in his head.
3-0, it's going to be exactly the same. It's like I said, keep the scores respectable. If not, you know, it happens.
Beautiful stuff. Well, we are just about ready to get into game right now. I'm going to hand it on over to our wonderful casters, Bravo and Onset, to kick off the day.
Thank you very much. It's time to get going, Andy. Welcome to Valencia, everyone. It's been the weather's been beautiful. We've been having a lot of fun out here, and it's time to get down to business. How are you enjoying Valencia, my friend?
I'm loving it. Like Dan said on the desk, first time for official Halo event in Spain. It's great to be here. Of course, a lot of history with Spanish players, and actually a pretty fitting start to have 2 Spanish players on the stage for our first series of the day.
It's also very fitting that we have the only Spanish speaker in the entire talent team alongside on the cast. So shout out to Andy. I'm just going to throw some Spanish tidbits at people as we get in and out of these games. But what a way to start things off, right? We've got Online Warriors. And if you just take that name in itself, the fact that we're here finally in Europe in a LAN environment, it's a real opportunity for them to change the Online Warriors to on-LAN Warriors.
It really is. We'll see what they could do here. And you heard in the pregame interviews as well, a team that could certainly win this tournament. They are one of the favorites officially, which certainly could be a team name change for them. On the other side of the stage, Aw0babobs, and as you heard also in the pregame interviews, they know they have quite a task ahead of them.
They certainly do, and it's a great opportunity for them as well to test themselves in that first series, maybe catching Online Warriors off guard a little bit. That game 1 goes their way. We know how best of 5s can pan out, especially with 2 Slayers in there, but I think we need to focus our attentions on Online Warriors. The higher seed in this pool, we're in Pool D, and obviously a pretty solid performance from this roster when they've been formed. Obviously, we've had Shady come in most recently, and what a story that is.
Yeah.
Shady coming from Ascent, dominating Europe for years now, it feels, and then this sudden, almost unexpected team change where we find Shady on a new lineup, looking to prove himself once more.
I mean, that is the story we're watching not only in this first series, but certainly throughout the entire weekend on this Online Warriors side. One of the biggest stories to come out of Europe, and to be honest, it's just one of many. If you haven't caught the past few weeks of European Halo, we've had wild team changes, some big mix-ups here, and now we're ready to get into our first game. Welcome to game number 1 here at the HCS EU Finals, series number 1, Online Warriors versus the Aw0babobs. We are underway.
We certainly are indeed, and we've been waiting for this for quite some time, everyone. And if you think we've been waiting for it for quite some time, the players are chomping at the bit to go up against each other in this LAN environment. Forget about online, it never mattered anyway. It's time for some LAN. Online Warriors, Aw0babobs, and we're starting off with the POV of a couple of Aw0babobs players.
And so much on the line here for Europe. We talked about Overshield, by the way, in the hands of Shady pushing C-Plat, which is going to have Oni trying to get out of there, but a nice 2-tap of the Heat Wave. But you talk about the amount of pressure on these teams. $100,000 on the line. The biggest tournament in European history, and it comes at quite a time. Europe right now looking the best they've ever looked, not only within their region, but Europe also contesting the likes of North America more so than ever before in Halo's 20-plus year history.
Oh, it's going to be a fantastic weekend of action for sure, and a very interesting start to this game, because you're looking at Aw0babobs, you're looking at the lineup, you're looking at the history, seeding, whatever you want to say. You would expect Online Warriors to come out to the hot start. However, 29-3 has been the score, and Aw0babobs have been slaying out pretty well.
They are not doing too bad at all. Like we said, half of this side, of course, hailing from Spain, also representation from the UK as well as Sweden. From Sandel on the roster. If we look at the other side, also going to be representation from France, Italy, and the UK as well. So quite a European matchup here to start things off.
It certainly is, and what a start this has been for Aw0babobs so far. You're going to see a sniper in the hands of Sandel here, and he's hitting bodies. A little bit of a transition to B, but that player inside of B, Shady, should have his shields back. But he's going to be challenged by multiple players here. Cloney will get that trade, and with 3 dead here on Online Warriors, this will be B transitioning back, and the scoring back into Aw0babobs' hand.
Yeah, it's a great play from Sandel there, flying all the way off of Nest, knows that he needs the damage on back B, gets the damage, and that's so much of this game. You are entering a lot of scenarios in Halo Infinite that you wouldn't in previous Halo titles. You need to be ready to get into battles that you know you will lose, but you need to tee up the damage for the teammates, and we're seeing that early on from Aw0babobs, but as quickly as we say that, it's a 60-8 lead, but 4 dead for them.
Having to compose myself every single time I say Aw0babobs, by the way, because it's very difficult to say on its own, even more difficult to say inside of a sentence. But for now, they're not finding the game too difficult. They're up to 59-15, and finally, really for the first time here, we're seeing a couple of kills going in the favor of Online Warriors, but the numbers game has pretty much been in Aw0babobs' favors from the get-go in this game.
Online Warriors does get the stop on A, but Aw0babobs able to bounce right back to get to A. You and I talked about the history of the team name of Aw0babobs, or what we believe is the team name.
Yeah, we kind of had some theories. We've been walking around the venue and kind of labeled, is this an Aw0babob?
Yeah.
You know, that
this
kind of thing.
This
might be an Aw0babob, but we actually came to the conclusion that it's the exact sound that an empty shampoo bottle makes when you dip it in the bath, and it comes back up to the surface. That's exactly what it is.
We're pretty sure that theory is going to be the working theory for the entire weekend, but speaking of theories here, some good strategy early on from the likes of Cloney and Sandel. 8 kills and 6 kills respectively. Right now, leading the game there. Cloney will be last player alive for a moment. And just like that, Online Warriors back in the game in a huge way. Keep in mind, this was 59-8, excuse me. And just like that, we're about to see a trip cap and a lead change, which is so often the case with these top teams. They take maybe just a little bit to get settled, but when you do on the strongholds, you're going to go on a huge run. Now, this is a 60-point unanswered run from Online Warriors.
And look at who's been at the front of it, right? Shady, 7-4 at the moment. Sniper in his hand, just doing what he does best, and that is just traversing around the map at speed and doing a huge amount of damage. This man is, it's difficult to stop once you get going, and I feel like he's one of those players, as soon as the numbers advantage appears, he's the difference maker, because he has the freedom to move around the map and just get behind and disrupt all of the teams he goes up against.
And I'm not going to lie, I think you're seeing Aw0babobs get a little bit scared already. Shady is top sandbags with Sniper, and you saw a player go pillars. It might have been Modes. A player goes pillar and doesn't challenge. They decide, I don't even want to challenge here. To be honest, if you're playing confident, you need to challenge those players who are sitting there on sandbags going for the no-scopes, and now Shady's just trying to get real fancy as he goes for the pop block and drop there with the repulsor. He eventually will fall, though, on cuts.
Yeah, he's got the Paris Saint-Germain shirt on. Maybe that's something that Neymar would have gone for with those kind of flicks and tricks, but for now, it's going to be Sandel who's trying to find a way back into this game for Aw0babobs, because it's very interesting to see the first time that Online Warriors even got numbers in their advantage. It's kind of reflected in this score. It has been complete dominance. And now that triple cap is just starting to get a little bit out of hand. It's 163 and rising, and Aw0babobs after the start, it has been kind of a chasing game, and they're losing that race at the moment.
Yeah, certainly has been now, and we talk about the run that we were waiting to see and expecting to see from Online Warriors. Take a look at this. No longer is it 59-8, it's 187-59, and this will be a very, very painful run if Aw0babobs is not able to get back in the scoring position.
Yeah, I don't know what's more impressive, the fact that Online Warriors have made this run and look so dominant since they have got control, the fact that we've managed to not mess up saying Aw0babobs so far in this series. I'm sure it's going to come at some point. It's too much
of a matter of time
to get wrong.
It really is a matter of time, but we got to say, we're pretty grateful. We tend to get the fun team names here. Aw0babobs being added to that list of fun team names, second maybe to only Dion Quavcock III here, as we look at the score 212-59, and big kills coming in from the likes of Flux and Snakey already on 13, as they are now looking at the home stretch. It will only be 40 points required or so to close this game out.
Great shots though coming in from Clonely. Maybe that's the little bit of space they need, at least to stem the bleeding. It is still a double cap. There is that grenade that comes in. Hollers is the outlier at the moment, though. On Aw0babobs at the moment, a little bit too much a wob and not enough bobs to kind of even things out.
You really need to focus on hitting that bob, maybe even a little bob and weave. Nice shots here from Snaky as they will get 2 dead. Online Warriors, and they will look to close this out. 26 points to go.
He's looking like a Game 1 win. Probably on its way here, and gift wrapped to be delivered to the Online Warriors teams. But there's got a little bit more work to do here. They do have AB in their control, and Shady is on the flank causing problems at C. So with 3 dead, Hollers last alive, this will be a triple cap, and this could be the last sprint towards the finish line here in game number 1.
Certainly not much time to go here, as you're going to see Shady flying across there to help on sandbags. Nice little slide to get him back into the action. Now they will collapse on C as well. 2 points to go.
Yeah, Mo's just flying in to do the damage. It delays that cap, and it will mean the Online Warriors will go up 1-0 in the series. And it was a very dominant performance. You have to say, a little bit of a shaky start, as expected. Sometimes players just take a few moments to adjust from being in their bedrooms, their offices, their living rooms. I don't know where players play from these days.
We don't even know anymore.
I can't tell you, but when you're in the LAN environment, you stand next to your teammates, all of a sudden things start to click. Remember, you're playing the same game, and that dominance that we've seen online has now transitioned into that first game.
And that is the beauty and also really the vicious part of Strongholds, right? Even when you see a team that might be the lower seeded, to take a look at the stats here. I'm going to interrupt that thought, actually, so we can take a look at these numbers. 16 and 9 from the side of Snaky, also 16 and 9 from Flux. The boys are hand in hand and doing the damage.
They certainly are, and Flux is one of those players, when you look at the name Online Warriors, you ask players in Europe, it's like, Flux is one of those. And having played against him online, Flux is one of those. But, you know, Hamza, I love you, by the way. We're good friends, it's all good. But he's performing here on LAN. You look at the damage dealt, standing out. Head and shoulders above everyone else on that team. And he's a player, I think, that as he starts to mature, not just in his gameplay, but maybe in a little bit of age, he's going to find that kind of the mental fortitude on LAN that he has online and kind of turn those online performances into LAN ones.
Certainly. You know what's interesting as well? I think Flux is a great example of this. Online Warrior used to be a bad word. It was derogatory, right?
It certainly was.
As time has gone on, it's become more and more of like, all right, well, this guy's an online god, and he's probably also going to be very good on LAN.
It's like,
and I think Hamza's the perfect example of that.
How many players do we see throughout the years, right? It's like, this guy's an online warrior. You know, you never do it on LAN. Turns up,
does it on LAN.
Dumps on everyone. And it's like, yeah, okay, this guy's actually really good. That might have been an excuse. We saw it. I mean, the one that always stands out to me is Snipe Down, right? Halo 2. Everyone's like, dude, this guy is ridiculous. Like, this massive, and it turns up, and history kind of writes itself, right?
Absolutely. Good shots here. Speaking of Flux, look at that double kill in the back of A. Nice work there, and had a lot of kills on the board early. At this point in the game, he was 12 and 7 alongside Snaky as well.
Yeah, it was a very, very dominant performance once they got control. I think the one thing for Online Warriors, as it is with any of the top teams that I'm always keeping my eyes out for in these early pool games against some of the lower seeded teams, is how good are they on the back foot, right? Because there will be a few times when they're under pressure, and they should be able to convert when they have the advantages, because they were able to roll those numbers forwards, keep the numbers in on the map, and keep one player in the death screen on their opponents. But it's the back foot, which is really going to be the difference, right? It's where we see those big swings. It's where we see in the big games, if someone can slow down the scoring against them, if they can slow down the game enough to get the numbers at least even to play the game, so to speak, on the map. That's the difference. So I'll certainly be keeping my eyes out on that one. And I think Online Warriors actually did a pretty good job. They went down a few points, sort of 30, 40 points before starting to get something on the board. But from there, I think in Strongholds, if you're giving away 30, 40 points and you're ending up with 250, you're pretty happy.
Absolutely. I think if I'm behind the Online Warriors side, I'm really happy with that result. As soon as they just decided to get things clicked there, like we said, it was 59-8, and the game ends 250-62. I mean, for all intents and purposes, that's a 240-point run to close out the game. And I think that is quite a statement indeed. On the side of Aw0babobs, I think they need to focus up on these games. Need to really get locked in here. This is a great main stage opportunity to start the day. You're under the lights of the main stage. There's a lot of pressure. However, you got big series coming up. You're playing against J-Lings later, right? You need to focus on how can you get the best group performance out of this. And I think they should be worried less about exactly how this series goes overall, and more so what kind of games are they playing here. Game 2 Slayer Recharge is going to be an opportunity to focus up.
It is, and Online Warriors were a team who in Pro Series looked so good in Slayers as well, and I think that's going to be one of their strengths in this tournament as well. If they can nick an early objective game away in one of the best of fives against one of the bigger teams, maybe as we go through the bracket, then Slayers have been their bread and butter, man. They have been eating those up all every series that we've seen them, basically. And they've been winning them not just like slightly, they've been winning them convincingly. So this is going to be a real challenge here for Aw0babobs. I also have more theories
on the
while
name.
I've been thinking on the name.
Yeah, talk to me.
Remember Weevil and Bob?
Yeah.
Oh, how many people do you think that are watching right now remember Weevil and Bob?
Not
Like
enough.
percentage watch.
Not enough.
Not enough?
Not enough.
So I'll leave this theory to the side.
No, go.
I think it's maybe like the second coming of Weevil and Bob.
I could see it. I think it's a valid theory. I think we're going to chalk it up on the list. I think we do have the...
Let us know, by the way.
We have the graphics team working on the working theories of the team name of Aw0babobs. Currently, we have the shampoo bottle.
There's a 4-hour death segment coming after the show's done today.
That's right.
We'll
As
get to the
well
bottom of it.
as Weevil and Bob. Maybe some Weaves and Bobs coming up here for the side of Aw0babobs. If they can bounce back in the Slayer, as we talk about so often, the opportunity to do so is going to be that Game 2 Slayer. But you have a team like Online Warriors who's going to be locked in and ready to play. I think this team, especially with the team change, Shady on your screen here, a story you're going to be hearing across all 3 days of this tournament. He's got a lot to prove this weekend.
He certainly has, and I think he's not going to want to just prove it to his teammates. He's going to want to prove it to the rest of Europe, right?
Yeah.
You know, is that it was a really, really kind of... It took everyone off guard a little bit, didn't it?
The type of team change where you saw everyone in Europe saying, wait a second.
It's the kind of team change that you see maybe after a couple of dodgy results. There was one result where they didn't win, but usually it's like, okay, we didn't win. But I know the Seeker and Legend kind of, you know, they spoke out about why the change was made. It wasn't anything to do with Shady's performance as a player. It was just, you know, some things going on behind the scenes.
Sure.
And that they felt like they needed to freshen things up and make that change, which is a brave decision in itself.
It is, especially when you talk about, I mean, hundreds and hundreds of days.
599, I think it was.
Just shy, you know, trending on 2 years of undefeated days, which is pretty wild. If you're unfamiliar with that change, of course, Shady dropped from the Ascend roster, the longest undefeated streak in European history, and now here on Online Warriors, certainly a lot to prove. I think he wants to prove it, like you said, to Europe, to the rest of the world, also to himself, right? To know that he has what it takes to win these events, and that maybe that drop was a bad decision from Ascend. And with $100,000 on the line, we are going to find out this weekend.
And that's the great thing about this tournament. You know, if you're tuning in, if you're tuning in now and you're kind of like, give me some reasons to watch these EU Regional Finals, right?
I'd say, how much time do you have?
Yeah, how much time do you have? But there is some real bad blood between some of these players. That you know, I could go into the stories, and with all due respect, it's probably best that, you know, some personal details
some of them
are left
will be
out
omitted,
of it.
yes.
Exactly, due to the respect that I have for the players. But trust me, there is certain players and certain teams that would love nothing more than to knock out some of these other teams that we're seeing. I'm sure we'll get into that as we see some of those teams match up a little bit later in the tournament. But for now, it's a chance for Online Warriors to go up 2-0. We're heading over to Recharge Slayer, and the good news is post-patch Recharge as well. So we're going to have some lovely gameplay going on by the looks of things, but we'll get into this as soon as we can. Shock Rifle, though, is always a lot of fun to watch some of these players. Snakey has been a player who's been popping off online with that weapon in his hands.
Especially, and everyone on the stage here, including the guys on Aw0babobs, if they're able to get that in hand, if they're able to heat up a bit, certainly could put some points on the board. And I think Aw0babobs is going to have an opportunity here, not just because it's a Game 2 Slayer, but keep in mind, let's take a look at this map. The reason they got steamrolled in that last game is the second they got trip capped, they never could catch a break. When you look at a Slayer, it's going to give you a little bit more time, right? There are not these forcing functions of the objectives to drive you straight into the traps of Online Warriors. When you go 2-3 dead, you have a true moment to reset. Your players who are first off spawn do not need to look for damage immediately in a Slayer. In certain situations, of course. However, there will be a lot of times where they are able to slow this game down, maybe with a little bit of control of a power-up or a power weapon. They can keep this one tight. To be honest, though, Online Warriors is going to want to see none of that. They feel like a team that's out for blood, and they're really focused on these early results in pool play, right? They're not a team that's going to be okay just winning this game, say, 50-42. I think they want to blow these games out, and they want to really focus on what they're looking to do here this weekend.
And the difficult thing here for Aw0babobs as well is that Online Warriors, with the addition of Shady, are going to be constantly putting you under pressure, right? Shady's one of those players who's always going to be engaging, always going to be getting those first shots in, and just as you come off spawn, you think you have a second to breathe and kind of assess the situation in a Slayer. Shady's usually a lot closer than you would expect a player to be, and putting that damage down and then somehow kind of scarpering away, allowing the likes of Snakey to move in and clean up that damage. So he's certainly a player that creates opportunities for Online Warriors, and like he did for Ascend in these Slayer game types, but also a player that you might be able to take advantage of because of that.
Certainly, there will be an opportunity for them to do so. As we take a look at this map as well, you know, it's so structured, so sight-liney. There will be opportunities where players with the shock can really pop off, but also I expect Online Warriors to really focus on applying pressure, right? If we do see the shock in the hands of Aw0babobs, they'll be flying in. They're going to try to do everything they can to not let the game slow down.
Yeah, make it disruptive, right?
Yeah.
Just to take the if you
Chaos.
see an opportunity to create chaos, to create 2v1s, you've got to take them. You've got to put this team under pressure because this is still a fairly new lineup, right? And when you're a fairly new lineup, you come together, you have a little bit of success, everything's rosy, right? Everything smiles, good job everyone, nice job, everything's fine. It's when the cracks start to show a little bit, when you get put under pressure, who's going to be the player to go, oh, come on guys, let's pick. You know what I mean? Like that guy who maybe brings the mood down a little bit, maybe all of a sudden you find yourself in a situation that you're not used to. How do you react to that? That's going to be the question, because this Online Warriors team is certainly going to be put under pressure. Maybe not as much today, but certainly tomorrow and Sunday is going to be a lot of pressure for sure.
A lot of pressure indeed, a lot of questions that will be asked of them. If you're just joining us here, it's 1-0 Online Warriors over Aw0babobs in our first series of the day, first series of the weekend here at the HCS EU Finals. $100,000 on the line. We're starting things off with Pool D. Some pool play here for our top-seeded teams, and an opportunity for Aw0babobs to tie up this series, maybe make things a little bit more interesting, but a tall task ahead of them given the Slayer prowess of Online Warriors, and to be honest, just how much these players have to prove. We've been talking a lot about Shady. Let's not forget, Moz, Flux, and Snaky, long history in Europe, been on a variety of top teams. These three have a lot to prove as well.
They certainly do, and I'm excited to see them all play for different reasons. I'm really excited to watch Snaky and what he can do, because he's been a player who could take over games all of a sudden. You know, he kind of steps up in a big series, and he's one of those players who doesn't let those final players get away as well. If you find yourself 3 dead and you're that last surviving player, sometimes you can kind of like extend your life, right? Snaky doesn't let that happen. He will hunt you down, he will find you, and he will make sure that he creates 4 dead opportunities for his team. But it looks like we're ready to get into the game and see if Snaky can have an effect in this game in the way that we're talking about. It is going to be Recharge Slayer. If Online Warriors manage to take this one home, just 1 map away from closing out their first series.
Absolutely jumping into gameplay right now. We're going to start things off with the man we were just talking about, Snaky. Let's see what he could do in this Game 2 Slayer. If they win, they'll go up 2-0 here.
It's actually Sandel that we're going to start off with from Aw0babobs. Moz is going to be moving in though, and I tell you what, that's a simple double kill here for Moz. He picks up 2. Doesn't even have his shields broken while doing so. So they're going to be launching some very awful plasma grenades towards that sword. I think miscommunication will put that one down too.
Very interesting there indeed. Yeah, normally you'll see those plasmas tap that sword just to send it over to Hydro so that you don't have to take the route a long way home to get it. But a 4-1 lead here for Online Warriors, and a bad time to turn the corner for Moz. He's not going to be able to get out of that situation. It's not too much trouble, though, because the kills keep coming in for the side of Online Warriors.
There's a 1v1 going down here. The back of blue. Snaky versus Clonely, and it's going to be 1 here by Clonely. Only picks up another one in the feed, and 4-5 is the score. But important 1v1 battles being won. Flux moves in to win one of his own, but is the trade going to be there? Yes, it is. Oni also has that shock.
Another thing I'm looking out for is Hollers. How does Hollers bounce back from that game number 1? As you saw statistically, not his best outing. And typically when you do see players who have a pretty challenging game number 1 in the Game 2 Slayer, they're likely, speaking of, here he is, Hollers on your screen, they likely try to slow things down a bit and maybe try to find the magic. You don't want to have similar numbers in a Slayer.
They certainly don't. Online Warriors will want some similar numbers they ended up with, though, at the end of that first game that we saw in the series. At the moment, not so much, as Oni wins a big 1v versus Shady. It's 10-10. But you're looking across the board here, and Online Warriors have found themselves 2-3 dead a few times. Sandel moving in once again to clean up some kills. Online Warriors just 2 alive on the map again.
Yeah, pretty impressive here off the start from Aw0babobs. And ooh, a little grapple sword from Flux is going to shut down the pipes and bat ledge control. Online Warriors now going to patrol on that side of the map once again, but certainly a much more interesting game number 2 than our game number 1. But the question is, can Aw0babobs keep up that pressure? It's a long way to 50 and a lot of time on the board.
Yeah, Flux is doing his best hokey cokey at the moment. He's in, out, shaking that sword all about as Clonely's going to eat one as well, and that's going to make the game a little bit falling into the favor of Online Warriors here. It's a 3-kill difference between them. Aw0babobs finding themselves 2 dead, and now maybe scary moments as the camo has gone over to Moz.
Big camo here for Moz. They're up by 4, make it only 3, so he needs to try to convert here, and he does on Sandel with the sword. So far, well played here by Moz to play this slow, but make sure to maintain control and camo.
You got to pick up this sword as well, and you have to worry. Maybe Aw0babobs should have seen that sword going down. They knew it went down. Nobody moved in to pick it up, though.
Yeah, maybe could have baited it a bit more, too. Even though they knew there was a camo in play, you could probably bait that camo on Needles, and now he's going to cause all sorts of destruction. And he gets a little slash, if I'm honest, through the wall on Bat Ledge, and that will give them a little bit of a lead even more, as he might even drop to pick up the shock.
Yeah, having throwbacks and memories, visions of Raw 2 versus Formal. The other way around, slightly there, but it was the Sword who came out on top this time. There's a little bit of plasma pistol action, and there's only flying in to try and clean up this kill, but Moz! Who's going to lose that one? It looked like he turned that barrel on his head, but the headshot was the only thing that was missing.
Keeps the game closer than you might think it should be, and also nice shots on Shady as well. Nice work here from Oni. A little bit of a home field advantage for him. Playing, of course, in Spain, as we said, the first outing for an official Halo event in Spain. It's great to be here and great to be back in Southern Europe. But with those wins, only down by 2 here. It's 24-22. Some big wins from Oni in the pipes.
Yeah, Clone Lee is a player who has been a little bit slow at the start of this game, though. You can see he's 1 and 7.
I like the assist,
does have 7
though.
assists.
I like him.
Does have 7 assists, so contributed to 8 kills in total. But the deaths are always the telltale sign, right? At the end of a Slayer, you're looking at the deaths. Deaths really do stack up, and maybe just a little few more in the column he wouldn't want at this point, but the game's still close.
Moz here, thinking about probably a grapple shock here, but might even instead push in. Leaves the shock, interestingly. I guess he gets the call. There's enough damage, and there certainly was. That'll be a double. And he's not afraid to challenge here. Gets a lot of damage, probably more than he should have, and that will give his team an opportunity to push out through Whirlpool and Pipes.
Catch looking at Moses' cam as well, and kind of sighed at the challenge. He was like, yeah, really, am I going to have to kill you as well? There's a killing spree for Mose, and you can see just maybe a little bit of a lift of the eyebrows there, just thinking, how dare you challenge me? I am flying at the moment. I'm 11-4, and when you're 11-4, you're allowed to challenge like that.
Might have had a lot of coffee here. Coffee's been pretty great in Spain here. Fantastic.
Oily boys, let me tell you.
Fantastic espresso indeed. He might have had a little bit of that based on the movement. Shady trying to repulse out of this situation, but not going to be easy to do so. But stays alive long enough for a lot of damage to come in as well. And if we're honest, the game has gotten out of hand here. It's 37-29 in favor of Online Warriors. And you have to think Mo's led a lot of that charge. He gets the double kill. He grapples across to clean those up. And he's not afraid to challenge and win those battles. And just like that, a 9-kill lead.
Yeah, ever since that camouflage was picked up, right?
Yeah.
Complete swing in the game, and it's not just the camo knowing you don't have it, it's the distraction it creates, right? Where is the camo? Where is the camo? You kind of play cornered, you play a little bit tighter, and all of a sudden you allow players to move around the map and create opportunities to do damage, and off the back of that, that lead has started to get very out of hand.
Oh!
Good morning, Shady.
Hey now.
Good morning. Forget about the espresso. That is a much better way to start the day.
My God, we talked about things getting out of hand. Shady hitting a repulsor jump. It looks like first to avoid the nades and the angles, but then just gets the kill with style onto the batteries, 42-35. Aw0babobs doing everything they can to slow this down. But as we said, it will not be easy, and it might be too little too late here. Only 7 kills to go for Online Warriors.
Moz and Flux doubling up here, trying to push this player top glass. Lovely little bit of peek shooting there from Flux as well. Gets 3 shots down with only taking half the shields off of himself. Only gets tagged up as well, 44-36. So Aw0babobs slowing this down though. And to be fair, we're only picking up a beat down on Moz, making this a little bit more scary for Online Warriors in these final moments.
Ooh, and with another one as well, they bring the game within 6 and a camo for Sandel. Gonna time his engagement here. They do it. Now they're only down by 5. Needs to try to stay alive with the camo if he can.
Needs to try and live. Got a teammate there supporting. Moz is going to move in though. A big, big, big double kill coming in from Moz. Not just to kill the camo, but just calm things down a little bit here for Online Warriors. Now they only need 1 as Sneaky picks up the 49th, but Aw0babobs showing some life towards the end of this game, and Online Warriors showing maybe a little bit of an online wobble, or an online wobble, I should say, as that game does close out. But they get the win. That's the most important thing. They're up 2-0 in the series now.
50-42, final score there. And funny enough, I believe I said that they would not be happy with a 50-42. And if I'm honest, I think that they could have been a little bit cleaner there in the mid-game as well, and certainly the early game, but the mid-game as well as the late game. Moses' kill on the camo is huge because that game, instead of going 46-41, could have instead went 45-42 with camo still in play. It's a big, big win from Moz there. He knew what he needed to do in control, and to be honest, Sandel might have got away with just holding pillar because he had help in control. Tough to say, hard to make those late game decisions. In the end, though, it will be 50-42. We'll take a look at the stats here as well, and look at Moz, 16-8 in that game.
16-8. Shout out to the assist though. I mean, look at the assist coming in for Online Warriors. That means the team is listening, they're communicating, they're doing the damage that they need to. Good stuff coming in from every single player. Moz kind of the benefactor of a lot of that damage being done. As you can see, the least assists but the most kills on the team. Shady being aggressive, as we know he does, picks up a fair amount of deaths sometimes, balancing it out with those kills. But I mean, you look at the other side of things, and Clone Lee was a little bit slow in that one, although the damage kind of doesn't look that out of place in the lineup. Maybe just, unfortunately, not being able to survive long enough in certain situations.
Certainly, I'll take a look at some highlights from that game as well. And as we said, neck and neck off of the opening here. It was an easy double for Moses. Here's the kill, right? Because hey, look at it. It's a 3-kill game here. He pushes in, makes it a 5-kill game, challenges Oni all the way from top control here to top gold, and moments later challenges him again on Bat Legend Shock and wins that, and that's what blew this game wide open.
Yeah, it certainly did, and that allowed him to go move in and pick up that camouflage as well. If Mose dies at any point, then they don't get that camo. And off the back of it, Shady had a little bit of room to experiment, to make some plays, and it looked like that grenade may have been enough to take those two players out. But yeah, it's tough to watch from that point of view, right? Mose has got an easy job to do.
Mose does, and Mose played it well. He just hugged the corner there to avoid the sword launch distance. He also gets the double kill. They had more help on Plasmas and Hydra that they really could have used there, because keep in mind, it's even worse than I thought. It was not just going to go from 46-41. There was 2 players there, right? So that could have instead gone to something like 45-43 with Camo and Sword still in play. It would have been a very different end game, but Mose steps up when it counts. He gets the kills that he needed, and to be honest, the kills that we expected him to in a situation like that. And just like that, they're now up 2-0, only 1 game away from closing out the series.
And what a great start it would be for them, just for the confidence, just to get comfortable. We know how different the environment is here in Valencia, opposed to sitting at home and playing in the Pro Series. And it's now a case of Streets Oddball being next up on the menu for both of these teams. Now, Aw0babobs, when we last saw them, it was a Streets Oddball game which they won, but made very difficult work of, considering the amount of kills they actually did manage to get on board. Now, objective efficiency is something we always talk about. It's almost become a buzzword, almost a cliche. But against Online Warriors, if you get 2-3 dead, you have to get that ball back to a setup. You have to take advantage of it, because when you've got players like Shady flying across the map, you never feel comfortable in a setup.
That's right. Taking it to Streets now here for game number 3. And as you say, that's exactly what Online Warriors will want to do. Make sure Aw0babobs never feels comfortable, even if they're able to hold back trim. Even if they have a back A hold here, whatever they might be doing, you'll be sure that the likes of Snakey and Co will be flying in to at least get that opening damage, if not sneaking out kills that they really have no business getting. Online Warriors now only 1 game away. Aw0babobs fighting for their life here in this series in game number 3.
Keep an eye on Mose in this game as well, because I think he's one of the most effective sandbox players that you can see in Europe. He's recognized that a lot of the guns you pick up are better than the battle rifle, quite simply. He'll have a shotgun. He'll have the anything, to be honest with you. He'll have the microwave if he needs it to heat some things up. And off the break here, it's going to be a very strong push on the B stairs actually coming in from Aw0babobs. A little bit risky, but it's actually played off for them. I kind of like this.
This is very interesting as well. Keep in mind the way that they hit those nades there. Those were... Flux has the rocks, and that's going to cancel out everything we just said.
There's another one as well. Flux, 2 rockets, 3 kills. It all looks so simple. And now he has the Sentinel being played with as well. Good job using that rally just to avoid the splash damage from that frag grenade as well, to create the angle and get the information. And as we always talk about, right? Streets Oddball, when you get numbers, all about information. Where is that spawn coming in? Where do we need to hold?
Yeah, and to be honest, no matter how good your B stairs push is, if the other team gets rockets, you are in trouble, because those rockets coming through tires, you are guaranteed to get kills on the stairs, on the rail, on the arcade. And they're going to continue holding here. They'll have some early points on the board.
Early points on the board, but to be fair to Aw0babobs, even though their kills haven't really been in their favor, the ball hasn't really been in the hands of Online Warriors. And now they find themselves 2 dead Online Warriors. Flux being a nuisance in the back of the base. They need to hunt him down as quickly as possible, though, Aw0babobs. He's kind of surviving far too long, manages to get 1, and that is going to stagger now the push, and they're not going to be able to hold that ball without coming under too much pressure.
Yeah, look at that. Oni, great play here. He knows he needs the kills, does not go for ball. Instead, he watches the L, he watches Neons. Might just pick this up for a little bit of a rotate, but Haller's also holding benches with the Bulldog. It's a challenging distance, even on land, but he's going to pick that one up very nicely. 3 dead for Online Warriors.
Yeah, Shady last alive, and a really good hold actually coming in from Aw0babobs, make it 4 dead. And the tram setup is holding strong for them right now. You can see that I think he's got to be aware of where the players are missing in the setup, though. Hollers was the last player to fall, which means that the pink streak is going to be open for now. And I like how he's playing this. Just moving the ball back to the balcony, giving himself a little bit of distance and separation for this fight, and now moving in to clean up some damage as well.
Great comms there coming in from Aw0babobs. 3 dead again. Shady was the only player alive. He's been pinged in the L. This should be ball time right now, though, even though they're looking for kills. Really should be some ball time. It comes a little bit late. They also need to kill Flux now badly, and this is the pressure we talked about.
Good news is, though, Aw0babobs managed to pick up the rockets. Now, was it Cloney who had them? That's the question, because he's been taken down by a grenade. Flux with the flank picks up 2, but where has that power weapon player gone? We're going to have to find out in a few seconds' time. In the meantime, let's jump into Online Warriors comps because we've got an Astro listening ready. They've got the ball back at Tram. Let's see what the comps are like.
Nice. I will. Let's go. On me, top C. I'm one shot.
I'm here, Habs, I'm here.
I'm one shot.
Back C.
Yeah, stay alive.
I'm absolute.
Yeah, so am I.
Inside C, commando weak.
Looking.
He's weak.
Driveway with Shoddy, and see with Shoddy coming for you, Habs.
Weak driveway. That's my ball.
HM, one guy. It's two shot, HM.
What a middle.
Map as well, wait. One shot, one middle, dead.
Can be back bucket. Yeah.
Oh, they're in C already, my bad.
He back one shot, he knows. Yeah, driveway.
Still in C with the ball.
One shot driveway, Danny. One shot shaded. Nice.
Nade ball maybe? We'll swing. Front A, two guys front A, shoot.
That's weak, that's one shot.
Two weak front A, Heinous.
Spinning tires.
Shoot us.
Yeah, he's dead.
I'm gonna get ball then.
One shot front A, I got one. Yo, cuff. Two cuff.
Nading it.
Others is weak. Danny weak as well.
Yeah. One shot cuff. Yeah.
Still a very tightly contested match here. Great listening with the side of Online Warriors, but during all that time, you heard some great control that they had to work against for Aw0babobs. I think the two things to watch out for there were key kills from Clonely, winning that battle from Red Room onto Arcade. Little things like that are going to add up. Also, a very key pivotal play ball down the C stairs. And to be honest, the ball's still down there, and the score has stayed here while they'll continue to maintain control. They had 2 dead again, so we'll stay at 44-26. Aw0babobs doing great, but they're going to need to keep this up for a few more minutes.
Yes, how long can you keep this up for? I think it's a really great point that you kind of make, because a lot of the lower seeded teams will match teams up until, say, the Slayer, 30 kills.
Oh no.
And all of a sudden things start to slip away in those final moments, and maybe Aw0babobs are going to find themselves in that situation because 3 players have fallen. Shady has the ball in his hands, and Snakey's got rockets, and Snakey's usually pretty good with these things.
That was a terrible time to fall. 2 players went for rockets there, bottom middle. They'll lose both players. Sendel tried to also play the ball off of C Balk. Doesn't get the play ball, as you saw, so they don't even get the extra time. They're going to lose the rockets. They're going to lose the ball. This game is now within 10 points.
Rockets are going to be effective enough to take down Hollers. There is another player in the ties, though. Sandel's trying to find him, and Will with that frag grenade. So does he know that there's another rocket down? There wasn't a scan that came in just to check the body. Maybe he wasn't aware, but look at the score.
Wow. Still
in the favor here of Aw0babobs, and Clonely, the man who had a very, very slow game number 2, we stepped it up here in game 3. He's currently sat at 11-7.
Mosel's last player alive there on the push. Clonely trying to stay alive with the Bulldog if he can in the Balk. They lose the one, but they trade 1 for 1. Clonely was so wise to not over-challenge from C Balk there. He stays alive, he keeps his life, and they will now have 3 dead again. Amazing stuff there from Clonely. He was so tempted. He had players at bottom plasmas, bottom spikers, coming neons. He could have done a lot of damage, but he maintains and stays alive. Great composure here from Clonely. Now look at the score, 71-43.
And look at the damage he's doing. Sometimes we always say the player stays alive. If you want an example of why it's so important, go back and watch the last 30 seconds of what Clonely has done. If he dies over challenges at any point, he's not in this position to dominate Online Warriors. It's 86 points and rising. 3 dead for Online Warriors, and this might be their last push.
Can't say enough about what we've seen here from Clonely. Look at that, another assist, another 2 dead. Time will tick down, 3 points to go.
3 points to go, and this is going to be round number 1 going into the favor of Aw0babobs.
Wow.
And I tell you what, that Tram setup was looking pretty damn strong as we head towards round number 2.
Very strong. Online Warriors got to be a little bit frustrated there. This should have been a walk in the park 3-0 with 3 easy games for them. And right now, they're finding some good resistance here, and I expect they have a lot of gas left in the tank, but it's a really strong finish from Aw0babobs because it looked like it was going to be a repeat of games 1 and 2, right? 50-point lead. It gets blown out. They're now within about 10 points. However, Aw0babobs picks up the kills they needed, but just as quickly as we say that, it's a tougher start for them. They find themselves 4 dead off of the opening.
Well, there's still 4 dead, and the worrying thing is not only has Flux got rockets in his hand, but he's also got the beautiful shiny red gun as well, and that thing can do some damage. He's the self-proclaimed best Stalker rifle player in Europe. We'll have to see if that's a name that he's going to give himself, or maybe one will hand to him as well.
2 dead now for Online Warriors, and this time it's a better start for Online Warriors because they got the kills and the points. Last game, round at this point, it was about 9-0 in the favor of Online Warriors, or tied about 10-10. Instead, we're seeing a lot more points on the board, but kills now coming in for Aw0babobs as well.
Flux is going to get melted, but only a little bit toasty. Getting finished off there by Sandel, and now Oni has got that ball back, and an A setup is developing here. So Hollers is just going to have the driveway locked down. He's got the Stalker rifle too. Should be able to do enough damage to slow things down, but Snaky with the big challenge shows how important it is to hit the shots, as silly as it sounds.
Almost.
With that Stalker rifle, a double kill here for Clone is going to slow the push down, and Snaky finds himself the last alive.
He was one bullet away, not even a bullet in a burst away from that triple as they had to force players up driveway. Not easy to do, but off of all that damage. Hollers, by the way, you might have thought that was a careless play pushing Red Room, but they got all the damage on driveway. That's what we talk about. You have to be able to sacrifice yourself in Halo Infinite in a way that you did not have to in previous Halo titles, and so far it's working for them. They will continue scoring 37-22.
Online Warriors look a little bit flustered here. You can see it just in a little grab of the oddball, knowing that they didn't have all of the numbers they may have needed. Cloney's now moving in. Hollers picks up one. The rockets are going to be popping, and Cloney has the chance to move in and pick those up. And if he can, then there's no chance for ball time here for Online Warriors. If he can survive, it's vital, but he doesn't get the kill in tires. But Sandel is going to be there to clean things up, and now maybe he can take down another player, but only is there. The teamwork from Aw0babobs is superior in this game to Online Warriors.
Trying to find the rocks. Looks like they haven't found it yet there. Sandel doing sweet and proud off those kills and tires. I'm not sure if they found the extra rocket. There it is. Actually, Flux steals away with it, which is a little bit of a blunder there. Not sure where the rocket actually went. It could have gone a courtyard. It will be traded out, and it will earn them that kill. So scoreline will stay the same. 3 dead. Hollers, last player alive.
Or maybe that rocket was a problem, because not picking that up means it's not an easy hold. Hollers is last alive, though. He's staying alive. He picks up 2. He might be able to kill Mose as well. Gets damaged down. And now Aw0babobs can get across the map. They can re-engage, and the oddball player knows that he's going to have to drop and shoot.
I mean, that should never happen. That's a big gap in Online Warriors. You cannot let Hollers, especially from PD, think about how limited the angles are from PD. If there's a player trapped at PD, he should not be winning battles against back A like that as the last player alive. Great stuff there from the side of Aw0babobs once again, but even after all this momentum, the game is still within 15.
I think Shady might have just accidentally unplugged his controller there, because he was stood still, and that's going to cost him. Flux is inside of PD. He's got the odd ball in hands, but the lead is still in the hands of Aw0babobs. And a reminder, they're up by 1 round already, so this is pressure on the shoulders now of Online Warriors.
What can Flux and Shady do here? It's a great push off of the damage from Sandel. He might be able to pick up 2. The Swede making big plays in the back of the base. Going to stay alive here. They will continue scoring. 3 dead for Online Warriors as well. And Aw0babobs, we're heating up in this game. A spawns, though. Back A spawns. Sandel's going to rotate, but there's a split spawn at C and A. Let's see how this plays out.
This is so smart, though, from Sandel. Just making sure the oddball is the most important thing. Keep it between the spawners. And now, off that initial kill, they rotate back, knowing that that spawn is going to be blocked, getting the information those 2 players are dead, and now they get more time on the board. This is really, really impressive here from Aw0babobs. They're playing this to the T.
Oni should grab rockets here. If Oni grabs the rockets, he will be able to hold them in the L. He should be able to hold the line. Picks up 1 against Most. 3 dead still. Flux is last player alive. They're going to sniff him out here. They're going to find him. They haven't found him. Ooh. No! It's a big blunder. 2 dead instead for Aw0babobs. Flux sneaks through front A with a ridiculous angle that shouldn't have worked. And they're going to continue scoring. What should have been another 2 dead for Aw0babobs will actually be control for Online Warriors.
They're going to get 2 dead here. Snaky should be taken down by Clonely, who has been dominating in this game. He's 20 and 15 at this point. +5, a huge amount of assists. And now you're going to see 3 players again fall for Online Warriors. Mose, the information is there. They know where the push is coming in. And Clonely is putting himself in so many good positions here to do damage. But most importantly, like we saw in the last round, he's staying alive while doing it.
Aw0babobs just really making sure that they make that count. It looked like that could have been a big gap where they could have fallen apart. Instead, they maintain their composure. Shady with a fadeaway Bulldog there. Rarely do you see that with a thrust. Normally you're going towards the opponent. 3 dead once again for Online Warriors right here. And a quick 2v2 for just a moment. This is your home stretch. 86 points already on the board for Aw0babobs.
Snaky had to get that double kill. Otherwise this game is over, and we're going into game number 4. For now, he's going to have to deal with Clonely, and Clonely gets taught a little bit of a lesson there. Snaky has saved this game for Online Warriors in these last few moments, but they have to be pretty much perfect. 1 drop of the ball, 1 4 dead, and that is going to be Aw0babobs with the opportunity to close out game number 2 here. Sando and Shady trading kills, but Aw0babobs seem like they are falling 1 by 1. Flux versus Oni. It's a 1v1 on the map. Flux is just scarfing away with that ball in his hand.
He is trying to sprint away indeed. He gets all the way to C stairs. Probably will play this front C in just a second, and that ball will be down, and now 86-65. 2 dead for Online Warriors. This should be a ball grab. They should not wait. This should be a grab and a move to C.
Perfect shots when it matters. coming in from Oni as well. Now has to decide, Rockets or ball. How about both?
Right now, the ball's going to come back to B stairs. They need to make sure they don't lose Rockets. Nades on B stairs. 3 dead. Holler's last player alive.
I mean, Mose has been very quiet in this game, but he's just once again saved the game, but he gets taken down.
Huge.
Hollers is there. Snaky now, moving in with Shady to try and rescue the odd ball and arguably rescue the game, but with 1 minute 30 left on the clock, which is stopped because the odd ball is in the hands of Online Warriors. Aw0babobs, this is as good a chance as you can ask for in this series to take a game away.
Nades come in from garbage. That's a good nade here to open things up. They now have damage, they now have numbers, but look at the board. 2 dead. This could be a heartbreaking comeback win here for Online Warriors, and based on those numbers, it should be.
Blood now coming in. Hollers gets a trade. Mose and Snaky pick up 2 though. Shady's last player alive. Cloney needs to get to Shady as quickly as possible and get that ball out of his hands, but it doesn't look like he's close enough. Now Cloney puts the pressure on, forces the play, and that ball is down front 8. Next kills win the game.
This will win the game. 3v3 here off of this break. They need to make sure they're not dying. Hollers with another huge kill. 3 dead now. They will come back into the lead. They should close this out right here and right now.
Shady's off respawn as well. Shady's got to get across the map, and I know that he's quick, but I don't think he's going to be quick enough. And with the time ticking down, Online Warriors should win this game.
Oh boy.
They do not win the game, excuse me. It's going to be Aw0babobs who send us to a game 4, and I tell you what, that looks solid across the board from them. Little smile on the face of Clonely. Little look of what is going on from Shady.
Yeah.
That man's used to winning, and they just threw that one away.
You can tell Mose they're not too happy about the result either, but you saw smiles on the face of Clonely and Aw0babobs, and I could not be more impressed with the way that Aw0babobs played that one out. I think anyone placing their bets would have thought that game 3 would have gone differently based on the results that we had seen so far, but instead, we see a very interesting and convincing result from Aw0babobs in game number 3, and all like that, 2-1 now in the series.
And the Spanish contingent feeling very at home here in Valencia on the main stage. Clonely and only a 30 bomb for Oni. He put up a huge amount of kills, but I'm looking at that assist column coming in from Clonely. I mean, how many times did we see him being the pivot that everybody else was working around on Aw0babobs, doing damage, staying alive, and that is the stat you want to see. 8K coming out of the battle rifle, whatever was in the hands of Clonely.
I mean, amazing stuff. Could not be more impressed with the decision making. I don't think the stats even tell the full story. Time and time again, he's making the right decision on the team. 3 double kills in a game like that is changing the way that those games go. You look at how you're only playing to 100 points each round. 3 double kills will win the round.
Yeah, it will. I mean, you look at those stats. If everybody does exactly what he did, the perfect stats for an objective game type. Slightly positive, huge amount of damage, loads of assists. He really did put in a great performance for his team. And I gotta say as well, Sandel kind of quietly went about his business, but the amount of times that Sandel would be in a position to clean up damage done by other teammates was really impressive.
Holler's getting a double kill from PD once again. That will haunt Online Warriors. That is a nightmare scenario. You cannot allow a last player alive, especially in a position like PD, to be getting double kills and essentially erasing and destroying all of your control. And speaking of control, you saw great control and composure from the side of Aw0babobs in that entire game type. It's clear that that game type is something they've been working on, that they play well because they knew exactly what to do. Look at this win from Hollers again to open things back up 4 dead for just a second. Great push there on the end. You have to think if maybe the game had 10 more seconds left, it could have been a different result. But in the end, Aw0babobs closing it out so strong. Even a little bit of trash talk from Hollers down the stage as well.
Oh, story time about Hollers? Want a bit of story time?
Well, actually, that's a great time for it, as the series is now 2-1 and things are getting a little more interesting.
Well,
story you just told me a little while ago.
So interestingly, an event I went, it was like a throwback Halo 3 event. It was Hollers' first LAN. And after the, obviously, you know, me being me, respectable guy, right, doesn't, you know. So I was giving him a load of beef across the stage. Yeah. And they actually won the series. And afterwards he comes up and his hands are genuinely like shaking a little bit. He's like, mate, I thought you hated me. And I was like, no, it's like, so it's all good, you know, it's all in game. And now, look what I've created. I have created a monster. That's what I'm saying.
And I'm proud of you.
Yeah,
I'm proud of you, and I'm proud of him. Holler's on the top right of your screen right now. The player that you just saw yelling some words down the stage to the side of Online Warriors. And it's a very, very different series here. 2-1 now in favor of Online Warriors. And how fitting that we go to a new map and game type. It's going to be Catalyst CTF and maybe an opportunity for Aw0babobs to tie the series and send us to a game number 5. We'll see if they can do that right now.
Well, a map which kind of forces a lot of those medium-range battle rifle fights through those corridors, into and out of the base, from those side bases. They were being won by Aw0babobs in that last game. If they can continue that, then maybe, just maybe, we could be headed to a game 5 here.
Absolutely. Holler's here going down to the corner. Shady actually just getting away into some weird angles here on the back corners of the map. He's going to have some help from Oni. They'll work together to get 2 dead off the opening.
Looks like a big stack on the gold side of things coming in here from Aw0babobs. Hello. Smack. Flux, unfortunately. Check your corners, my friend. A little bit of baiting and switching, and the only thing switching off there were the lights of Flux. Shady trying to rotate back. Holler's doing more damage, but elsewhere on the map, it looks like Online Warriors have overextended on the other side and picked up the kills they needed to.
Pony again, last player alive, picks up the kill that he needed to. Time and time again, we're being more and more impressed with what we see from him. Did get the spiker off as well. Hey, I'm loving what I'm seeing from Clone. This man's heating up here. I think he's already building a fan base here. For anyone who didn't know the name, now you certainly do.
Hey, if you're in the area, you want to see a few Spanish Halo players kind of reintroducing themselves and making a name for themselves in Valencia, in their hometown, then get along and support your boys, because they're playing some good Halo Infinite right now. Mose has got that sword, though. He's also going to be moving that flag here. 2 dead for Aw0babobs, and Online Warriors, not only with the flag here across the top of goal, but also with the cover it looks like they need to get this one back into the base. But here is that overextension.
How many times have we seen this here? Now Sandel's the one who has to get a pull and a kill. Great nades from Mose. Great composure and timing from Mose, and shots as well. That's what you expect from a player like this.
Tony's going to clean up 1 kill, but it's on the opposite side of the map. And Mose will be able to run this one home, but they've got to be careful of the counter cap now. Hollis picks up one, but Flux is in a great position to slow things down. A little bit of a stretch Armstrong there from Mose, making sure he had every single ligament stretch to get that sword lunge, as now he tries to push onto Hollis, and he gets the stick as well.
What a spree there from Mose. It might not have been a spree on paper, but still a fantastic stretch of gameplay from him, and you can tell he knows exactly how to play this map, just timing all of his routes, right? Knows when to drop the flag, knows when to beeline across goals, knows when to drop and shoot at his flag, and really great work there. Will be an overshield grab for the side of Aw0babobs and Clonely, but it will be melted immediately.
Oh my word, that looked a little bit like Sherzine, the son of Valencia, to be honest with you. That's the last thing I've seen melt that quickly. Hopefully the legs have recovered by now, Richie. I'm sure they have, but
I don't know if they have.
Could take weeks, could take months, to be honest.
Gotta get that man some aloe vera.
Well, for now, Aw0babobs keeping this one tight, keeping this one close, but I think for Online Warriors, the first cap was vital in this game, just to reset the mental a little bit.
Definitely. They do not want to be sitting here tied too long. I think the fact they were able to put that on the board is going to give them a little bit of a reminder of what they've built here over these past few weeks, but 2 dead for both sides on the run.
They've cleared one side here. If they can deal with Snaky, they should be able to get this flag moving. 2 players should be challenging him. He should be toast. He does damage, but slows things down and delays that death long enough for the respawns to come in. So maybe a little bit of a lack of efficiency in the speed at which those kills were picked up.
Snaky, great job, as you said. Took the time he needed to. And there's a reason they had to send 2 players to kill him. He was just fighting off so hard on gold side, and that will bring the flag back to the flag stand. And you have to move quick on this game time, right? You need to pick out which kills you need to get. When you commit to a side, it doesn't matter how well you slay. You need to do it quickly as well.
Yeah, you need to almost pick up the slays as quickly as you're making the decisions, right?
Yeah.
But for now, Aw0babobs are putting good pressure onto Online Warriors, and I tell you what, they've got a little bit of a pinch going on here because Hollis is moving in. He picks up 2. Shady is last player to be taken down, and Snaky's coming off respawn here. He's going to be top middle, surviving, and he gets taken down. So that is a fresh 4 dead for Online Warriors, and a little reminder here for Online Warriors, they are not going to have their way in this series.
That's right, and here we go. The flag's going to come in with extra kills going on the board as well, and to be honest, we just talked about a textbook run, how you have to slay as you're running, and Aw0babobs is just putting on a show. 2 players weak. Look at that damage from Sandel as he brings the flag in. It's cleaned up by Clonely as well. That will bring him to 8-6 in this game. We're tied 1-1, and this series has heated up.
I mean, Clonely has the bucket, excuse me, and the mop out inside of his base. He's just walking through going,
no, look at that.
Don't worry about me, cleaning up these kills, cleaning up the base, but Snaky gives them an opening once more.
Yeah. Big damage. That overshield looked like it could have popped, but sometimes you see in observer mode, it looks like that overshield should have popped in time. However, it doesn't. It stays on the map, though. What? Grappled back to the base. Let's see who actually pops it in the end. It's going to be Shady there with a huge grapple snag of the overshield.
Yeah, there was a really good flank coming in from Shady as well. The damage was done, and if you are flanking, you have to make sure you get those kills. And now Hollers, unfortunately, is going to be subjected to that flank. And with the overshield, they can kind of force this. They can get it going down bottom middle. They can throw it across the either side of the base. But to be honest with you, it's a little bit of a sketchy-looking run here from Shady. I'm not sure that was quite the safest route.
Okay, Shady might have been trying to go big brain as 3 deader for Aw0babobs. We'll see if they get a touch on you. There will be a touch. Does Mose have the grapple? That would change how this runs. No, he's got repulsor, so he's going to have to take the long way. I'll go back to the theory on that flag run in just a moment, but for now we'll watch if this flag goes back home.
There's 2 players from Online Warriors holding the line inside of their base. Only picks up 1 though. But Mo should have a clear run here to the flag and be able to get this in. No, Clonely with a stop.
Wait a minute, 2 dead.
And Clonely and Sandel in a position to get this return. The flood comes in from Aw0babobs.
Shady last guy.
And at the moment, Sandel is Aw0babobs in and gets that return. And that is a huge misplay, you have to say, from Online Warriors. They made a mess of that.
It was a mess of a flag run from beginning to end, start to finish, top to bottom. That is a mess of a flag run. And speaking of, Sandel's going to have a little bit of a bobble here as well, so that means they're probably going to need to slay a little bit harder on the way back home.
Hollis gets taken down as well, so now Clonely is vital in this flag as flag grenade comes in. Sandel's going to try and force it. They needed to slow things down, but Clonely is there, and he somehow... What? Gets the cap, but at what cost? Because this should be a pretty clear opportunity to counter cap.
Should be. What does Flux do here? He has spawners with Mose. Kills still coming in for Hollers though. 2 dead. This is not a guarantee at all.
Oh,
here comes Aw0babobs.
Sandel's got the he's got the time, but the spawn comes in.
What the?
The spawn comes in right next to the flag carrier, and that is Halo gods looking down on Online Warriors. That spawn guaranteed that flag cap.
Someone has pleased the Halo gods here. Flux hitting us with an observer mode strafe that we've never seen before, as he's going to actually get taken down. Clonely is aware of the match. This game is now 2-2, and this has been absolutely wild. 2 dead again, and we haven't even had anything slow down in the action. Here comes the push, 3 dead. Flux last player alive. This should be a run as well.
Clonely is playing out of his mind in the last couple of games, by the way. He is doing so much damage and making sure that he creates not just opportunities, but stop pushes coming in from Online Warriors. Snakey gets 1, but that flag has scarpered across the map. I think Shady managed to slow it down or maybe get that stop. Hollers has got work to do, and now Flux is going to be hunting him down.
What does Hollers do here? He doesn't have enough, no shields. They're going to get a pull as well. Clonely probably going to get collapsed on in just a moment.
Still alive. Finally goes down though. Most does pick up that flag. The kill, excuse me. That's only now's rotating back. A big double kill from him and a touch on the flag from Hollers as well.
Wow, last second touch there. They're going to be able to bring this one in. They need 1 more kill here at Snakey. I think last player alive. They should be able to do
overkill for Oni. I mean, everyone at the moment is stepping up here for Aw0babobs, and what it means is they go into a lead. I mean, this is a series, everyone.
This is sheer chaos as well in this game number 3. I mean, players are desperately trying to get every inch they can, and sometimes failing on the last stand on the flag. On the other side, we see incredible flag caps coming in. 3-2 in favor of Aw0babobs. Online Warriors looking to tie.
Clonely picks up 2. That's going to be his 18th and 19th kill of this game. He's 19 and 10. And he's going to have to continue doing some work. Overshield's going to be popping up in a few seconds as well. If Aw0babobs get this with just under 4 minutes left in this game, that game 5 is looking a little bit closer than it was.
It certainly is here. Still 2 dead. Most of the big kill on Hollers momentarily. And this overshield grab will be big. Let's see where it goes. It does not get grabbed by Oni. It will still be down bottom middle.
Snakey's going to be forcing his flag home as well. Now decisions have to be made. Cloney's got 1. He's trying to bait. He allows Sandel to come in and help, but Snakey with some perfect shots. And now with Flux spawning on the back flag, this should be the flag to tie things up. 3 minutes 30 left in this game. It's been scrappy for both teams. But who's got the ice now in these final moments? I don't know who's got the ice, but Mose has got an overshield.
He certainly does, and they're thinking about this run. 1 dead for each side, now 2 dead for Aw0babobs. That's a huge kill on Mose at the end to stop the run last second.
Shady somehow avoids Oni, and now you're going to see something creative. He goes under.
Here he goes.
He goes up. And he reappears once again.
Wow.
And now he's going to slice Oni. This man is turning Callus into a jungle gym.
That is nightmare fuel. Someone coming up between the floorboards with an energy sword like that. It's great grapple work here. And look at what all that leads to. It will be the go-ahead flag run for Online Warriors, and they will bring the flag home. They now lead 4-3.
They lead 4-3, but I tell you what, you get the feeling there might be a little bit more left in this game. Hollers flies in with no disregard to the fact he had no shields to work with. But now Online Warriors, they can dictate the pace a little bit here. Sandel doesn't win that fight against Snaky. Both players do survive. But with that lead, they can at least turtle up if they need to. But who else but Clonely? He comes in and creates an opening once more.
Shady again with the sword. Put on a show here. First time we've seen that bottom route with the grapple on LAN play. Seen it online, of course, a few times, and bringing that to the big stage. And to be honest, what a time to do it.
Block's now moving that flag. However, 2 dead here for Online Warriors. Oni's going to be positioned to cause some problems, and I love this. Just working so well with Shady, who's almost looking robotic in the way that he's kind of creeping around inside of the base. And Shady now picks up another. So that flag, which might have been a distraction a little bit, a few seconds ago, is now going to turn into an opportunity for the final flag here.
Overshield still, maybe bottom middle. We'll have to see where that overshield ended up going. It could be a big part of this wrap and this run. Snaky's still picking up kills though, so this flag should go.
They should go home. It looks like there might be no one here, but the flag has been pulled, so we have a flag standoff situation. Sandel getting a little bit greedy. Mo's moving in with that overshield, picks up 2, but where is the flag return? Is anyone on it? Shady is.
That's it.
And even though Aw0babobs gave it their all in that series, and certainly gave us some moments to talk about, it will be Online Warriors who get the series win 3-1.
5-3 in that final game. Comeback win for them as they will take that one out. Keep in mind they were trailing in that game 3-2. They're able to bring the flags on the board that they needed with some great late game composure. Overshield, a big story in that game. If I'm honest, you saw the side of Aw0babobs actually forfeit a lot of last-second OVs mid-pop, where you saw great team shots coming in from Online Warriors to deny the overshield at least 3 times in that game. And when you have a game that's decided with only 2 flags, that will be one of the factors.
It certainly will indeed. And I think the stats will show a few things as well. I got to give a shout out to Clonely. I think he's been playing so well in this series, especially in those last 2 games. Survivability, but also consistency of his BR shot has been very, very impressive. Reflects in the stats as well. 25 and 14 for him. Not a huge amount of assists to go alongside it, but certainly the standout for his team.
25 and 14, fantastic numbers. As you said, so impressed with Clonely. And to be honest, I think we could say so impressed with the Aw0babobs roster.
Yes.
I think anyone looking at this series on paper, and you actually heard the Death say it, right? 3-0 Online Warriors is what a lot of people expected to see. I think Aw0babobs came out in a big way, leading in a lot of the games they lost. They had significant leads. They're going to need to look at that in the VODs. They're going to need to look at that on paper. However, they put up a great first series to start off our HCS EU Regional.
Yeah, they certainly did. And the most important thing for Online Warriors, they get the job done.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times you'll see in pool play, teams lose that one game and all of a sudden it gets a little bit shaky and all of a sudden you're in a game 5 and anything can happen in a game 5. But for Online Warriors, they get the job done, like I say, and I think there's certainly some stuff to work on, without a doubt. But I think it also shows, this isn't going to be an easy ride for any teams in pool play. Even though some of these teams you might not know if you're kind of watching from some other regions, there's some talent here, and you see it on show.
Oh, you really will. And I think as the weekend goes on as well, you're going to see that the distance between these teams, the gaps, the skill gap, and the amount of competition here, it's going to be a pretty tightly contested finals, without a doubt. And there's no guarantees at the EU Regionals. That's the one thing we know for sure.
Oh, 100%. And I also want to give a little bit of a shake out, a shake out, shake him out, whatever. But I think that one player who impressed me in particular in that series was actually Snaky, picking up some really important kills. And also, important kills under pressure. It's easy to force someone if they're not looking at you, but when you got a flag going, you're throwing it out, you got 2 players overextending, all your decisions have to be perfect as well as your shots. And I think that he was calm enough in those big situations to really impress.
Yeah, Mo's as well, right? Mo's with great power-up and power-up control time and time again. We saw how pivotal his kills were. He'd use the overshield defensively, offensively. He'd be right on the flag run, not afraid, to fly right in and pick up the kills that he needed. And if that series goes to a game 5, that is scary territory, right? We already saw what Aw0babobs is capable of on game types that they're comfortable on. And Online Warriors did not want that series to go to a game number 5, so pretty wise of them to make sure it ends in 4.
Okay then, well that is the first series done here in Valencia. Is Online Warriors, who are the favourites, they get the job done, but it looked a little bit shaky at points. We're going to go back to the desk to get their thoughts on it now.
It certainly did look a little bit shaky at one point or another there, especially in that oddball streets, which I'm so glad that we actually made a decent series out of that one. It was looking a little bit rough in that first map on Strongholds. We kind of anticipated that one, Online Warriors being such a strong Strongholds team here, and coming forward, they really proved that on the main stage. Going to be a little bit of a difficult one, I think, for the rest of the competition to try and break them on that. But going forward, things got a little bit better for Aw0babobs, and I was impressed with what I saw coming through, especially with the teamwork. Clutch, what did you make overall?
Yeah, game 3 and 4, they really started to impress me. They were winning individual fights that I didn't think that they would be winning throughout that series. And I mean, I know there was a lot of talk about the individual skill of Aw0babobs throughout the start of the analyst desk in that segment, but I mean, it really showcased itself. I think if you're Online Warriors, you got to do a better job of staying alive, maybe challenging it a little bit less and respecting your opponents. There's a little bit of lack of respect in the gameplay, and if you play like that against the Navis, the Ascends, they're going to punish you even harder.
Yeah, I do think they probably walked into that series expecting a 3-0, and they were very quickly, you know, approached by a team who were confident enough to engage in fights that maybe they weren't thinking they were going to, and it just became an absolute barrage of kills that were happening that shouldn't have happened. And Aw0babobs said, all right, well, it looks like these guys are actually for the taking. Very impressive game from them.
It was impressive. Something else that definitely caught my eye, and I know it caught your eye as well, and especially at home, was the fact that we saw something with the grapple with Shady that we haven't seen yet before on Catalyst, and utilizing it so well really won them the game here, Clutch. Talk to me about this moment and why it was so incredible.
Yeah, I mean, no one goes under the map with grapple. He's able to double back all the way around from going twice with the grapple from below, and then he closes the distance on this player. I mean, this player's like, where in the heck did Shady go? And before he knows anything's happening, he gets taken down. But I mean, 30, 45 seconds later in the clip, we go back to Shady getting another sword kill. So it wasn't just this one kill. It was, this turns into a flag cap because of what Shady is able to do after this kill. And it's just such a massive play from him. His movement impressed me throughout the entire series.
Yeah, it's just nice to see a huge amount of flair on the server coming out from Shady there, but it's just overall, after that game 3, after that convincing oddball victory, they just started to think to themselves, well, actually, we could take this series, not just, you know, struggle by a game here and now. I was very surprised they played the numbers game much better. It made me think to myself, for Online Warriors, the comms was definitely an issue to a certain degree, because you could see that some players were doing this and that, they were doing their own thing, which is not something Online Warriors are known for. They're known for that numbers game, and we saw, of course, their opponents taking advantage of that on B side for the majority of this matchup.
And I think what was really interesting is that it was Oddball, which was the game they were able to take off them as well. Lottie, you mentioned it earlier. They really struggled in Oddball during the qualifiers. No one was picking up that ball. They were slaying out correctly, but suddenly they've been able to go back, work on maybe things they weren't doing so well in the qualifier, and I think that shows great potential for this team. They are looking at tape. They are making sure they're practicing here, and I suddenly think this Aw0babobs team can do a lot of damage in this tournament.
Yeah, they certainly can. It was great to see, you know, teamwork coming across, which is kind of what they were lacking in that qualifying. Like you said there, Gaskin, it was great to see the fact that they can learn and grow from that. And my goodness, did it pay off in the end in that series for managing to take a map from Online Warriors. Speaking of the Online Warriors, though, we do have Flux joining us on the desk. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, feeling good, thanks.
Good. What an incredible victory that is. Obviously, the first series of the day. You guys were looking pretty hot. Talk to me about that first map, though, because Strongholds, that was just lights out gameplay. You didn't give them chance to breathe there. So talk to me about this mode, because you guys have been popping off on it as of late.
Yeah, well, we're adding Shady to our roster. I think he's probably one of the best Strongholds players in Europe, so it's kind of up to our Strongholds game to like another level playing with him. I feel like we're really comfortable on 3 caps. He's a player who's really good at knowing how to hold 3 caps, so yeah, that's why I think we're so confident on Strongholds.
What about Oddball, though? What happened there?
We won't speak about that, man.
Yeah, that was a difficult one, because like I guess we expect you guys to be 3-0ing a team like that.
I think we just kind of hit the 2 map mark, and we just started, I don't know, rushing through the game a little bit, not taking our time, and to be fair to them, they played really well, so they definitely deserve to take the
What
map.
I was going to add as well, going back to Oddball game as well, I've said my reasons to why you probably failed in some of the areas, but what was the key weaknesses they exploited on that map?
They played very tight, they played very together as a team. We just took a lot of 1v1s, and to be fair, they won most of their 1v1s, and that's why we lost the map, I think.
Do you think other teams will look at that as a weakness, or do you think that you can just kind of blow it off?
I think we can blow it off. I think versus the stronger matchups will tighten up a lot more on that.
Now, Flux, there's going to be a lot of eyes on you guys, I think, coming into this weekend. Obviously, you have really shaken things up online in the Pro Series, especially since you guys have kind of congregated together. A little bit of a powerhouse team here. Feeling any pressure right now heading into this LAN to really prove a point to Europe?
I don't feel there's too much pressure on us, simply because we're quite makeshifty as a team. I feel like most of the pressure's on the other teams, like your Ascends, your Quadrants, your Navis, etc. So we're just feeling good.
Do you think this is the best team you've ever been on?
I'd say so, yeah. That's made it to an event, yes.
And that must be a good feeling, because, you know, you've been through the rounds, you've had a few teams drop off.
It's a great feeling to turn up to an event and knowing you have a team capable of taking it all. So yeah, it's a good feeling.
Yeah, it is a very, very good feeling. Well, I got to say, it was an absolutely incredible performance for you guys. Are you looking forward to the competition getting a little bit more fierce? Is that where you guys start to flourish a bit?
I think that's when our team will really shine, when we play the big matches. So yeah, that's what we're looking forward to.
I absolutely love it. Well, Flux, you've been a delight to have on the desk. Thank you so much for your insight. Congratulations and best of luck for the weekend, man.
Good luck, bud.
Well, there we have it, gents. It's been absolutely amazing. First series of the day done and dusted. We're going to head to a quick break right now, but when we come back, we do have an exceptional series on the cards. We're going to be seeing some of Europe's hottest on the main stage going up against Reclaimer. It's going to be Ascend performing for the first time here on LAN with the rest of Europe. We'll be back right after this break.